Now, the little one can, in fact, open doors. All right. And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Children of all ages, welcome to the gun show. I missed you guys, and we're going to have some fun. I said we'd do some stuff now that I'm not DMing. Be able to get a little bit more creative again on the other side of the streams. And here we are. It feels good to see you all back. And let's get some beautiful music started. Sci-fi music. And we'll just vibe for a while. It's been great, guys. Yeah, we'll go with that. It's been great. Missed you all. Been a while since we've done some Battletech content. I feel like we're a skosh overdue, so with no further applause and no grace, having all the coordination of a 5-year-old with broken fingers, we are back to paint. Percussive maintenance on the receiver always seems to help it out in the afternoons. I don't know why, but it is what it is. There is thunder running through the area, so if I pop off, ain't because I wanted to leave y'all today. All right, so I do declare we need one mech to start on first. Let's make it our Battlemaster. So, for all you wondering at home, why the Battlemaster? And why does Mav have such a love for what is usually seen as a mediocre assault mech? It honestly has, much like a lot of my personal Interspear Battletech history, it is not doing what I want it to do. Give me just a second, chat. There we go. So, like much of my spheroid history, it has a lot to do with my MechWarrior Online experience, and MWO is kind of what led me into being an Interspear guy, honestly. It's a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome, you could say. I was a dirty clanner all the way up until MWO came out. And for me, traditionally, it was Timberwolf or bust. And never really gave the Interspear much thought. And it kind of escalated. Because all we had in MWO were the Interspear mechs. We're going to start with some good old cadmium yellow. And kind of just start spicing up the yellow bits on this B-Master. But anyway, like I said, we kind of had a little case of Stockholm Syndrome, had no choice but to learn Interspear mechs. And the first Interspear mechs that I kind of fell in love with were the Catapult and the Dragon. The Catapult was my very first mech in MechWarrior Online. I was an elite founder, and I decided that the Catapult was going to be my ride of choice at first, and the old founder's cat. it, it did me well, and but I really didn't understand how to really leverage a heavy mech until I got my dragon. So the dragon kind of became my go-to. Well, similarly, I wasn't really much of an assault mech guy at all. Didn't really prefer them that much. I liked the mobility that the heavies at the time that I was using gave me. You know, the Stalker was boss. Like, we got to play around with the Stalker a little bit in closed beta, and I enjoyed the pull the trigger and watch a guy just get deleted gameplay that the Stalker gave you at the time. I used a whole bunch of SRMs and a couple big blue lasers. Large lasers. And that was cool, but it was kind of a gimmick. And so it just kind of fell off for me. Well, you know, fast forward, the clan mechs all come out, and Buddy and I are goofing off, playing around with all the other mechs, and, you know, there's a few mechs at this point that I've really gotten fond of, but the Dragon is still my go-to. Well, Project Phoenix happens for MechWarrior Online, and the second that Project Phoenix happened, so I saw the Battle Master, and it looked so cool. Like, it just looked so boss, right? So I was like, I'm going to learn how to use an assault. It looks so cool, I have to learn. And I love the look of the Thunderbolt, so, you know, between the two, I kind of decided that, you know, it's time to learn a more brawling, heavy play style. And rather than just being like a mid-range shoot-us backup for the mediums and the lights, like you do with the Dragon. A lot of matches that way. But, yeah, the Battle Master was the first time that I really felt like an assault mech fight. Yeah, it kind of became my go-to after that for assault mech. It's got the right blend of speed, got some good armor, respectable firepower. Yeah, it's decidedly average at all those traits for an assault mech, but if you're average at all of those things and you know how to put it all together, you're not bad at anything, and it's going to be better in many cases than something that is just hyper-focused. So yeah, the Battle Master, I will always have a soft spot for them, squarely because of my experiences in MechWarrior Online. And it looks boss. Like, I like this version a little bit more now of the Beemaster, and we will be dicking off with this a little bit more in the future. I have a whole pack. But yeah, guys, it's a great mech to learn how to do assault mech things, and it was kind of my first for that. Like I said, I will never be out of high regard of the Battle Master, just because of what it gave me the opportunity to learn. Yeah, there you go. Obviously, meta's changed a lot since then, and I don't really play MWO anymore. Harebrained Schemes, Battletech came out, and then after that, we got MechWarrior 5 finally, and MW5 is a lot of fun, and honestly, the pacing is just, it feels more like how the setting frame thing. It never feels like you're hacking. Anyway, so that's your story for the Battle Master. We're gonna let that yellow dry a little bit here. It's cool. Like, I legit think this is one of the coolest mechs in the game. We're gonna let our dude dry up here a little. Here's our small little furry friend who has entered the room. Yeah. I might make that attempt. That might be worth going. So, a podcast I listen to, Old Gods of Appalachia. You want some folk horror podcasts set in a fictional version of our world. Man, is it good. You're doing a live show in Asheville. It could happen. I might pop by. A little small-time ass, pop by there. Just, you know, take in the sights, the sounds, enjoy it. But anyway, so there's our B-Master. How's it going? Welcome to the show. We wet our yellow a little bit here. A little dried out. I don't know how long we're going to be live today. Usually with art streams, I only do about two hours, but I don't know. Doing the D&D stuff for so long, and that being like, you know, 5 to 6 hours of streaming, 4 to 6 hours, it feels like 2 might be a hair short. So we'll see what we can go from there. This is BattleTech. It is a game set in pretty much 30. Most people seem to play it in the eras of 3030 through about 3070. There are several factions in the game. The Great Houses of the Inner Sphere, which there's like 6 of. There's a whole bunch of people from outside, essentially, the Inner Sphere, which is like the original colonies in that setting of Earth, and that just kind of branched out, and that makes up the Inner Sphere. The Periphery goes beyond the Inner Sphere. It's kind of like where your pirates and various mercenaries, disreputable kingdoms, and etc. go. And then there are the clans, which are kind of a caste system society, of which there are several disciplines. You want to be on camera. Alright. And, God, yes. 40K has some pretty decent fluff on its good points, but BattleTech is like stepping into the deep end of the pool as far as its fluff and lore goes. It is rife with political intrigue, backstabbery, general social commentary. Each of the great houses alone has enough infighting that it's spawned, God, probably thousands of novels. Give me a second. Michael Stackpole He's a really solid writer. He pretty much, like, between Star Wars and BattleTech, I think that's kind of what made his career. Michael Stackpole's a really good one. Let me bring up some here. Let me bring up some authors here. God, there's such a huge list. Mercenary Star was pretty decent. Yeah, actually, yeah. Any of the Grey Death Legion books are pretty cool. That's written by William Keith Jr. Wolves on the Border by Robert N. Charette. It's pretty good. There's thousands. There are thousands of BattleTech books. Not so many in Audible. Most of their Audible stuff is abridged heavily. Like, I think the average BattleTech novel on Audible is about 2 hours long, which is really disappointing. So if you like to listen to books on the go. But I hear they are going to start releasing full-length audibles or audiobooks. So there's the little one again. Yes, they really are. And it makes such a difference to be able to read at work. Oh, I forgot I was starting the yellow section down here on his other part of his hand. BattleTech is full of political intrigue and full of cool stuff. It's just great. Absolutely adore the setting. I started into this back with the video games. MechWarrior, BattleTech on the Genesis, actually, was my very first brush with anything BattleTech. On the Sega Genesis. After that was MechWarrior 2 on the PlayStation 1. And dating myself here as to how old I really am. Yeah, you guys, there's a lot of cool stuff. All of the classic MechWarrior games are just fun. They are so fun to play. Of all of them, I think 4 is my personal favorite. And you can get it emulated pretty reliably, at least up to Windows 10. Now I don't know about 11, but it is awesome. I highly recommend it. Also, on the miniature side, this is not an expensive hobby. Like, you're familiar with 40K and how ridiculous that gets and how fast it gets. You know, at 40K you can buy like the one or two Lords of War and be out $130. This, you want to be able to just play a whole bunch of games with one other person. The BattleTech starter box, which comes with like 5 mechs or 6 mechs, $40 bucks. I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks now. The new Alpha Strike rules, which is being released in November, that is going to have 8 mechs in it, plus the Alpha Strike rules and everything you need for like 80 bucks. The starter set also, again, 40, comes with everything, comes with dice, the minis. I can actually go get it here right quick for you. Hang on. Let me get it out from. Okay. Here you go. So here's the Armored Combat starter set. And in it, yeah. Hell, it's cheaper than most board games now. Like, the really nice board games now are like, what, $100? So here's the rules. Everything you need to get started, up and running. Rules. Comes with the stat cards for your mechs. Comes with two dice. And check this out. 8 mechs. As you can see, I've not painted mine yet. I've got the whole others over here ahead of them. I got this set as a Christmas gift, I believe. Just haven't had time to get to it yet. Little mission. Your primer to the setting and universe. Little thin comic book thing here. A mech, your mech data sheet that records your damage. Nice. I'm actually going to be playing my very first real game of it. Like, I've never done the tabletop stuff. It's always been the video games. This weekend, I'm actually going to be playing my first game. You get a couple of battle mats. And got the quick reference rules here. You actually have the quick reference stuff that you're always going to need. Not only does it come with those 8 mechs, by the way, it also comes with cardboard cutouts for other mechs. You don't just have the 8 mechs that are in this box. You also have an additional 1, 2, 3, 8. Another 8 mechs inside there. Plus, you have different tile sets that you can add to your battle mats. For $44 on Amazon right now, that's not bad. Honestly, Battletech is probably one of the best miniature games that you can get into for the money. And these little puppies here, which, you know, you see the 4 mechs in there. These are only like $25 a piece. On Amazon, there's a little bit of a discount for like $22 a pop. I just ordered 2 more boxes of stuff. So you can pick out what kind of mechs you like. Paint them up however you want. You can do as a mercenary, which is what I am doing, as a mercenary faction called the Sapphire Dragons is what these guys are. And they're essentially based out of a faction. They're a state-sponsored mercenary group, sponsored by the Free Rasselhag Republic, which are essentially space Vikings. So we got that, and yeah, this is a really good game to get into for not a lot of money. Myself, I have a plastic crack addiction, as you know. You can see I have a plastic crack addiction. I've far more than the starting 8. But I love mechs. I love mecha. So it kind of makes sense that I'd buy a lot of mechs that I'm probably never going to use. Like, I've already picked out a couple of factions to be bad guys for my mercenary company. These guys, when I'm going to do is my next one of these. This is a Warhawk. It's it's an 85-ton mech, so it's an assault mech. It's in the heaviest of the weight class, and the coloring, it's going to be from Clan Jade Falcon, and Jade Falcon are essentially like the clan's super banker faction, and also crazy assholes. They are full on willing to charge into melee combat with katanas in a setting full of laser rifles and stuff. And yeah, they're going to be the primary clan-based adversary for my mercenary company. And the secondaries, I'm also going to have some Comstar stuff that I'm going to paint up, which is an Inner Sphere faction, which is essentially what happens if AT&T and the CIA had a love child, and is the worst evil traits of both, and that's Comstar. Yeah, so they're going to be dealing with my guys. They're a very secretive faction. They hoard technology that the rest of the Inner Sphere doesn't have anymore, and they to keep themselves on the cutting edge and to hobble everyone else. And technology is like a pseudo-religion to Comstar. And lore-wise, for my personal story, the Sapphire Dragons kind of uncover a bunch of lost tech, and Comstar doesn't really like that very much, so they kind of send out an agent, which is one of my buddies. I have him represented in this mercenary faction, and to kind of keep an eye on us. And eventually they try to, you know, starting some shit. So they're going to be the primary antagonists as far as the Inner Sphere stuff. So I'll have Jade Falcon, Comstar. I also have a second mercenary company I'm developing, which is more the opposite end of the spectrum. And those guys are shoestring budget in the complete opposite end of the galaxy from my Sapphire Dragons. These guys are the Nemean Panthers, and cheap mechs, lots of tanks, because tanks in this are nowhere near as powerful as battle mechs. Neither are air assets or infantry, obviously, but they operate a lot more with smaller mechs, lots of tanks, lots of artillery, that sort of stuff. Shoestring budget borderline pirates is kind of what they are. That way I've got some variety in how I want to play my my battle tech. But yeah, it's just an amazing setting, and there's room for anything you want to do in it. I mean, anything. If you want a former Catgirl stripper to become a mech pilot and leads a mercenary company, you can do that in BattleTech. You want just like your generic, average, hard-bitten space pirate guy, you can do it. You want like to be the son of a noble or royal from one of the great houses that took up becoming a mech warrior to earn glory for his family, you can do that. Like, there's no shortage of things you can do for your own personal stories in this setting. It's great. They even have an RPG, which is more complicated than what I've got here. Yeah. But this is so good. I think 40K is a little too one note most of the time. Like, I think that's like my one gripe with it. It says as if I don't have over 5,000 points of Necrons in like a Space Marine army, a Chaos Marine army, Tau, and Guard. But I think 40K can be a little too one note. It doesn't leave you that room for that backstab and intrigue as much. B-Tech, on the other hand, man, you could do anything in this setting. It's great. Hell, there's a planet that runs off of goddamn legalized murder in BattleTech, essentially. Solaris. So essentially, Solaris is a planet that primarily gets its revenue. It's like a supersized Las Vegas, okay? You have an arena in Solaris where mech warriors will square up on each other. People take bets on it and stuff. And it's fully legalized, and whatever happens, happens in that arena. It's great. Like, there's so many things in this setting that are just really over the top and cool. But yeah, it's a big sandbox. It is an extremely wide sandbox to play in. There's always room for something that you want in it. Either if you have a hard time with the setting in B-Tech, it's either because you're not trying hard enough, or you just don't like big stompy robots. That is the other thing about the setting. The mechs in BattleTech are more like giant walking behemoths. They're not like Gundams. Yes, they can, very much so. And but there's all kinds of stuff. Like, if you're looking for it, it's in B-Tech, man. Oh, a little bit more work on this. This mech is called a Viking, and fitting that I'm, painting it up in my Sapphire Dragon's colors. That wasn't an accident. I actually got this mech for free. I think this is one of the free ones I got. I essentially bought from this dude's store, and he was like, yeah, here's a free mech, and give me a Viking. It worked out. And that is something else you'll run into a lot with this community, is the people in this hobby, guys. They are awesome. They are pure awesome, guys. Also, CGL, the company that runs this, Catalyst Games, by the way, they you go to like a MechWarrior, a BattleTech tournament with 3D printed models like this, they don't care. Yeah, that's the one thing this doesn't really have, is aliens. And they mostly did that as one, obviously, I would assume in the 80s budget was of concern, but they also wanted to focus on the human element for storytelling, for the human condition, and just to keep things grounded and relatable. That was pretty much the choice they made. But otherwise, though, but yeah, you could show up to their tournaments with these 3D printed guys. Not only do they not care, they would probably be over there looking at your stuff like, dude, that's so cool. Catalyst is, this community is just unreal. Good as that looks on this camera, I don't know if I really want to do too much to these guys. Other than just kind of like tweaking the yellows and stuff. But yeah, this mech here is also an assault mech. It's really cool. It's from a much later time than this one. Also, BattleTech has different eras of play you can play in. Work on this other Thunderbolt. The yellows actually turned out pretty solid on this guy. So, I'm gonna kind of fine tune a little bit, I think. I would bet it is. This seems to have some serious staying power in its community. And it seems pretty welcoming. I've never gotten that feeling in this community, like, 40K can have a really bad gatekeeper problem. Battletech never really seems to have that. These guys are a lot cooler about stuff, and I think part of that too is like the stance that the respective companies take. Like I said, these guys are 3D prints. I can take those to a Battletech tournament, and they won't care. The reason I got these guys in 3D print, it has nothing to do with the cost, because 2 of these guys cost almost as much as that 4-pack. It's because I like the MechWarrior Online designs a lot for some of the mechs, and so I wanted MechWarrior Online mechs. I got my Thunderbolts. This is the first real heavy brawler that I've really gotten into in the video games. But yeah, each one of these guys, like, when you buy them online, is usually about $10 a pop. If you buy them 3D prints, they're about $10 a piece. The big Lance packs are 20. So yeah. I used to play Magic quite a bit. I was a big Magic the Gathering guy. See, I've always been kind of a nerd. Well, there went all my toys. Okay, kitty. You don't even have to move, sweets. Didn't do anything. That was on me. Maybe, well, tomorrow I'm playing around with an airbrush, so maybe I won't paint these guys today. But okay. No, that's not the Thunderbolt. That's their Thunderbolt. That's their Battle Master. So what I might do tomorrow is I might shoot some of these on my airbrush tomorrow. At least to get the base coat. Yeah, I was always kind of a nerd. And a nerd and a car guy. Between the two. This stuff I never really had the money when I was a kid to really get into any of this stuff, and I didn't know at the time that BTech was so much cheaper than Warhammer. My very first Warhammer army was Necrons. Back in 3rd edition. So yeah, robots and stuff I've always had a soft spot for. Dude, this guy's not that far off from being done. So this is my buddy's mech, his Shadowhawk, his Atlas. So I'm gonna work on them here in a little bit. We'll put them off to the side for now. His mechs, I wanna get a little bit more input from him. Now this rifleman here, on the other hand, this guy, we can mess around with this. It's on max zoom. For some odd reason, I can't get my DSLR to record in 1080. It's stuck at 720 for some reason. But that's okay. I'll work on it. That, or I'll just buy a much better DSLR. Like, this is an old DSLR. It's a T4i. Well, part of it too is like, after a certain point, you just kind of like, you start wanting to learn more things. Like, There's an old joke that once you hit like 35, you figure out either you're going to read a lot about history or you're going to learn how to make the perfect steak. I picked the answer as yes, but I've always been kind of a history guy. Mythology is cool. History is boss. You know, I've always kind of been in that little group. Music is not something that I am especially talented with, by any means. I have a guitar that I got a few years ago and never learned how to play it. I plan to. I plan on streaming that effort. But like drawing, painting, that sort of thing's always been more my thing. But yeah, going out and just getting hammered, I'm sipping at something now, but I mean, hell, I can get hammered at home. It's a lot cheaper, and if I'm doing this, I'm still having fun and relaxing. It's a lot more fun be doing stuff like this, in my opinion. But I'm a little biased. Also, painting different things, like mechs. Mechs are way different than painting people. Like, I can paint people and dragons and stuff, and I can do color theory and everything else on them really well, but painting mechs I seem to struggle with. I don't know why. I think it's just because I don't do it very often. Like, these are some of my first mechs that I've ever bought. Of course, now that I have an airbrush at at a garage, it's going to make life a lot different. Yeah, history is great. Even stuff like, war history is what everyone usually gravitates to at first. Is, World War II or the Civil War or whatever. Most people gravitate to that first. And that's cool. It's so documented. Like, once you get away from some of the mythology aspects, like the myth of the German super weapons, for example. Once you get past all that, like, it's still so detailed and documented that it's easy to get access to the data and read. But even stuff like social history is really fascinating to me. That for me is like, yeah, like, what was life like? What did people actually do back then? No, I don't mind at all. We are a very chat heavy. I am very chat heavy for the streams. I like sitting and talking with you guys. Like, when we do D&D streams, I don't mind if people ask questions in chat at all. Like, I like that. It shows you guys are interested. It lets me see where you guys are at, too. Like, I like seeing and hearing about your guys' day. I like seeing what you guys like to talk about. your hobbies, your interests. You know, not to be too corny, but your hopes and your dreams. But yeah, I am a very pro chat person. I am not. Most of us are in the streaming community, I like to think, but at the same time, I do know there are streamers that they do it just to hear their own voice. I'm not that guy. I like to talk to you guys. I like to learn things about you. I think it's cool. And if you guys take an interest in what I'm doing, then that's even cooler. How is that not boss? And the way I see it, I'm also, you know, it's paying it forward, because yeah, exactly. Like there was a letter I read not too long ago, and it was essentially about a birthday party in Rome. It was cool. And then when you read enough, you're like, these guys are kind of more like us than, you know, people like to think they are. You know, and then you start kind of realizing that about just people in general. It doesn't matter where you are. People are people. Start to kind of learn that after a while. It can be really cool. Yeah, we'll work on this guy some more. Yellows are faded a little. Yeah, we'll. Yeah. One of the earliest things I can remember reading about was either Plato or somebody else from about that era, and they were griping about, you know, how spoiled the next generation of kids were. Like, you know what? This just goes to show you that everybody always bitches about what comes next. It's like that doesn't seem to change very much. Families worry about the same things we do. Like, you know, they worry about food, their income, little stuff even, like, you know, making it to parties, or, you know, seeing if they can get to a festival or whatever. They have a lot of similarities. Then you get to a point where you get old enough and it's like, wow, people are people, man. Doesn't matter where you're from. We all want the same thing, which is, you know, most people just want to be happy. And be able to be allowed to be happy. That's mostly what people want. It's just a few assholes at the top that ruin it for everybody. It's always that. It always comes back to that. That's part of the reason I like this setting so much too. Is you know, you kind of find out the BattleTech is kind of the same way, where it's a lot about the human condition. A lot of their stories are, at the end of the day, some of the best BattleTech stories are about the human condition. And that's cool. This is turning out really well. Really don't want to mess him up too bad. Wish my phone would take better pictures of these guys, because they look pretty good on the DSLR here. Okay, so we'll put that guy off to the side, my little Viking. Let that yellow do its thing. Bring out the Thunderbolt again. And needs a little bit more work. Then we'll break out a paler yellow to do some highlights on the with. And I got some blues and stuff we're going to work. I will say, if you do get into this, for painting models like mechs and stonework and scenery, get yourself an airbrush. Skip the spray paint phase altogether. At least around here, there's like 10 days out of the year that is honestly worth spray painting to prime minis with, to do your priming. There's only about 10 days a year where it's even worth trying. It's so dependent on weather. But an airbrush, well, the thing is aristocracy always lends itself to corruption. I firmly believe that a more direct democracy is usually the best way forward. Represented democracies, they have as long as they are not tampered with in such a way where you can buy your votes, are also the better way forward. The old saying is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I firmly believe that. And the more concentrated power becomes, the worse it gets. Which I think is kind of where our current problems come from. It's too easy. It's entirely too easy to corrupt just, say 50 dudes than it is several hundred. It's really not bad looking. But I still got to do the teal, add in for the FRR's colors. That's not bad. That's not bad. I got it reapply up here. Gonna up the intensity a little bit. And the one thing I don't like about this particular DSLR, the yellows. I noticed it back when I was painting my Tau on stream. Yellow and this together do not, this camera does not do particularly well with yellow. Like, it just kind of turns them all into the same shade. I don't know if there's a setting I can adjust in this thing or not. I've never really sat down and messed with it. But the yellow balance has always been a little off. But even like all of them will be like almost this shade. Like, you'll see when we get to the other colors. Or my other shades of yellow. This might be a good way to compare it. Like, in person, I can see the color intensities way lower on this Viking than it is in here. Even when this dries, it's going to look... It just doesn't have enough yellow on it yet. Yeah. It's already faded, but that's not bad. I'll leave that one there. It does. It really does. But I will be able to add some depth in, and the camera will pick it up when we start adding the different shades a little bit. But it's not going to be like the blues. The blues, man, they shade so well on this camera. This is also our first color of yellow. It's still just the cadmium. Right now, we're just trying to make sure that we don't have any of the blue peeking through it. But we'll get to the point where I can start changing. This is acrylic, and oils, if I had the right thinner, that wouldn't get me dangerously fumed. So this is an oil-based one. This one I did do an oil. I didn't actually use any other shades of blue. I just manipulated the blue that I had put on there. And the only problem that I really had with this was thinning it. This is supposed to be a water thinnable oil. You never get enough of it off of the brush to really be able to get it to do what you need it to do. And it just kind of like smears and smudges and stuff. So I'm gonna have to get like an actual thinner, but the day that I do that, I need to have better ventilation. Definitely the fumes will be toxic. I used to work with a lot of thinners and acetones and stuff like that, and in the space that I am working in, you definitely don't want to start doing. We joke about me killing brain cells. It does. It does. I love the look of it. Like, I think I'm going to probably tweak this guy a little bit today even. We're probably going to work on him here in a minute, actually. And it also takes days for oil to set. Like acrylic, this stuff, you're done in about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's dry. This takes about, I think this guy took about 8 or 9 days to fully dry. The only bad thing about the oil is it does take forever. But you can figure it out. You're going to be really well off as long, like, I would have switched to oils if I had a better ventilated area. I'm deathly afraid of just blowing my brains out in terms of chemical fumes. Use the thinner that I would need. But I do love the look that it gave. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That shit gets dangerous really fast. I'm trying not to do. Trying. You know. Like I said, I used to work with a lot of heavier chemicals, so I'm pretty aware of the dangers. Why I don't do it. My real job, I work with enough chemicals at. It's gonna take a little bit. Might be able to save this guy. Maybe, but man, that's wicked stuff. Some of the thinners especially, man, they get really rough. Especially if you're doing something like making actual plastic molds and stuff. That shit gets scary really fast. I'm gonna leave him like that. We're gonna get some blue out. I have plenty. That'll work. One of my few Games Workshop paints. We'll start with that. Oh, this is one of my inks, I think. This could work. Let's see how this ink does. Oh, it's not one of my inks. Okay. It was just mesticized. Alright. One of my G-dub paints. Had to zoom or focus. Focus, you fuck. There we go. But yeah, I really did enjoy using the oil itself. The base itself, it was cool. Just needs safer setup. It was the funnest part about it was like I could push the paint around like on the Mini. Like I could physically. Yeah, so many diseases, none can get the upper hand. Yeah, that's pretty much the feeling I get out of that. Change up this guy a little bit. Doesn't have any mold line for any extra reinforcement in the cockpit glass, but I think we're going to do something. Probably fail. Something like that, anyway. Yeah. kind of get that, you know, multi reinforced glass kind of feel. Yeah, that's my only gripe. But it was so fun to just push the paint around. It was so cool. We'll get away from our oil-based guy for a minute. Yeah, I think I want to use this as the teal section. That's pretty close to the FRR blue. The brighter blue. Trying to kind of keep that theme in mind as we do this. So hello everybody. Pulling around on this a little bit more here. I'll put them on these blast panels back. We're going to put some of that FRR-ish. Yeah. Oil is absolutely just phenomenal to work with. I could already tell that if I practiced with it more, it would turn out just absolutely fantastic. So we're probably going to buy a whole bunch of cheap army men in a bucket someday, once I get the better ventilating setup for here. Do some army men painting in oil just to kind of get the hang of it, because I bet that would be so fun. Also cheap. For everyone starting out at home with the hobbies, buy those army men by the bucket. Those little cheap plastic army men that you can get the whole bucket for like $5. You get like 100 dudes. Do it. A lot cheaper than, you know, goofing up your minis, stripping them down, and starting over. You goober up them army man, who cares? You only paid $5 for the whole bucket. I should have done that myself, so learn from my mistakes. At some point, I'll have to dig out my very first painted minis a long, long time ago, before I took the 10-year hiatus from doing anything. Just so that you guys can, you know. Yeah. Yeah, running is a lot like that. Why I lift weights. I don't like to run. Weightlifting's a lot easier for me. That's my jam. 5 sets at 70% of your maximum and you're done. Or 3 sets, 70% max, and you're done with that lift. And then if you want some cardio, you just lift a really lightweight lot really quickly. Hey, so far this Viking's turning out pretty decently, I think. Exactly. I got a buddy that he's a big time runner, and dude, why do you lift? I'm like, so much easier. I don't want to suffer, man. So if I go really light on the weights, it's no longer quick. It then becomes, 60 seconds or so of you just suffering. So I guess I could see his point. We're gonna add R. Little band of FRR blue. Master. Which, depending on how things go today, I might lift when we get done here. I didn't lift this week really at all. I was sick. That would drive, that had soft. I bet his cardio was amazing though. I used to bike ride a lot. I love to ride bikes though. Swimming and biking, I love doing that. That I can do for hard cardio. Especially swimming. In the before times, I used to swim twice a week and do weights 3. In the before times. Then I got out of the routine, and then, going across to my gym that has the pool is like, 20 minutes plus of driving, so it's like, I really want to do that. I was doing good there, though. I'd go right after work. I'd go there and then go home after that. Then, everything got shut down, and that was the end of it. But I've gotten stronger. Like, I bought better weights for the house, and got no excuse because, I got a big 75-pound DB back there. And do my curls with, and oh yeah, you'll get there. You're once you pass the 200-pound club, which is about 90 kg. It's actually, hang on a minute. Those that are at home realize that. Yeah, once you get past like about 90, 95 kg, if you stay with it, getting to 300 pounds plus is not that bad. Yeah, that first 100 kilograms is going to be like the part where you get really quickly through it. I kind of plateaued around 300 pounds, which is so far anyway, but I haven't done a full max in a while either. 40. Oh, is it 150? Yeah, 150 kg is somewhere around where my old max was. It was about 150 kilograms. For all of you following at home, that's about 330 on bench in American units. Yeah. Absolute peak used to be 330, but I think I could do better than that now. Just haven't done it, so I'm not going to claim it. The thing that helped me the most as far as like making it a routine and, you know, part of your day is like I would do it right after I got home. Right after I got out of work. It's the first thing I do. It part of it is this habit. Like I've been exercising in some form pretty intensely for 20 years. So for me, like it's like any other habit that you've had for 20 years. You just have to get to that point where it becomes a habit rather than something that you have to do. Once you get there, it's a lot easier to do it. Like me streaming on a Friday, in general, like I love to do it while I'm streaming, but then it's easy for me to fall out of the routine and then I never do it. D&D was really good for me to get back into streaming because it was a thing where every Sunday we were playing. So I got to stream every Sunday. It also built up the stamina a little bit for my voice because my voice used to be such that it would go out after about 2.5 hours. Now it's D&D, it's 4-hour stream or 6-hour stream. Not as much concern there. Turning out really well. I see a goober though. We'll have to work on that. I see a goober. That armor plate right there, where that white is. Speaking of, we have our own brand new titanium white. Yeah. I think that's really like my biggest hurdle with streaming is like just doing it. Like with weights, all I gotta do to grow or gain with weightlifting is to just do it. And it doesn't matter what 3 days you do it, as long as you do it. Streaming, on the other hand, there's certain times that you have to figure out when people want to come in to watch you. Then you have to work around when they're going to do it. So there's set days that you have to stream. And then you have to keep it as a pattern because people are looking for the pattern. And that's hard to do outside of work hours for me. Like the D&D on Sunday thing, that's an easy one. Yeah, pretty much. It's hard, man. I won't lie. Part of the reason this channel's not really grown that much is like I found 1 or 2 games that I really kind of got to grow the channel a good bit from, and now I'm pretty much starting over. I don't game stream anymore. Too easy to get toxic in games. Or God forbid you're teamed with a toxic teammate. Too easy to stress. I don't want to stress. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being a thing. Of course, I'm also in camp. If your teacher's doing their job, studying isn't going to be as much of an issue because it's something that they've conveyed in such a way that it's cool. Part of it is honestly on the teachers themselves. Is on the teacher. It's kind of like being a streamer. It is on me to be entertaining to you guys. Guess what? It's on the teacher to make their subject interesting enough for you to want to do it. And that's where the big disconnect really starts to show between a good teacher and a bad one. All the teachers that you liked, let me guess, their class was fun to you. Learning should be fun, should not be work. And that's the big disconnect, I think. And where's my other blue? There we go. And again, now I have a... Exactly. Done my job. Oh, this is the ink. Kit. I think this is the ink. I don't think that's the one I want. That's the ink. This pearl is the ink. I think. I don't know anymore. I'm lost. Let's just see what happens when I put it on the remover. Pretty sure this is the ink, though. I'll take blame. Yeah, I will gladly take the blame. If you want a good YouTube channel for your BattleTech lore, look up Tex Talks BattleTech. That is probably the best BattleTech channel going on YouTube, bar none. Tex is class of the field. Tex Talks BattleTech. He is the class of the field as far as the BattleTech thing. Real classy guy, too. Does a lot of work for charities. A lot of good charity events. I'd say I warned you that you would get sucked into B-Tech, but that's a lie. I have done what I have done knowingly and willfully. I will not take any of, and I will not apologize. Yeah, this is almost an ink, honestly. Like, I didn't think I owned any inks, but apparently I do. One of the newer paints I bought. I guess I shouldn't be too shocked. Something is harder. Yeah, it is. The other thing too that helps is like to get the real job. I'll make sure to take the stairs instead of the elevator. You do that like 8 or 9 times a day, you're in good shape. It goes a long way. Park further out in the parking lot so that you walk further. It's another one I do a lot. Plus, I've got someone with me, then I'll inch up and park some. Left to my own devices, I'll park out in the middle of nowhere. I'm just glad I have never, to this day, licked a paintbrush on camera. Reminds me, I need to get my brush straightener out. I actually have a stuff for that. And that's not quite what I... There we go. Turn into something now. All right. Leaves that seam line kind of look. Okay. Let's start. Go get the other yellow out. Primary. Got all kinds of yellows. All right, let's get primary yellow out. I don't know how much that you guys will be able to see the color delta between the two. There's the primary yellow up in the foreground here, right behind the mech. The other one was the cadmium that we had. I have one shade of yellow that is paler still. That is cadmium yellow light hue. So we're going to work on this. What I really should do is get a dropper someday. Okay. Should be plenty thick now. Put the super cadmium back there. Never have, actually. At least not since way back in high school. I think if I did, and I might someday, is we might do something like a Bob Ross kind of thing where try to follow along with one of those videos and just to see how it actually goes. I'm a little curious, I won't lie. Watch him as a kid. Be on really early Saturday morning before the rest of the cartoons that I would watch on the other channels would come on. And I would watch Ross. I don't know if he's still on PBS or not, but probably honestly partly why I started into art. Probably the blend. Yeah, it does. It looks absolutely fascinating. I think it'd be fun to do. Yeah. Yeah. He he was actually a drill instructor, if I remember right. One day he just kind of had enough of that, and I never want to yell at anyone ever again. And part of it was his time up in Alaska changed him. Just the vistas out there. I would love to go up to Alaska sometime. Check it out. It would blow my mind. Hopefully before the completion of the dystopian hellscape that we live in, while we still have some snow up there, would be nice. Love to visit Alaska. Yeah. I as a kid, I always looked up to the rule of Rogers and the rule of Ross. Either Steve Rogers or Fred Rogers wouldn't approve. Don't do it. And it doesn't cost you anything to be kind. That's my rule of Ross. Yes. Yes, very much so. As a matter of fact, on Twitch, from Fridays to Mondays, sometime today, Bob Ross they'll actually be streaming Bob Ross's old shows on Twitch. Really good to just kind of vibe out and chill to. If you've had a shitty day and you need to calm down, watch some Bob Ross. it can, and people will burn you, but there is a time and a place to not be kind. Is again why I leave the Steve Rogers in the philosophy camp there. But ultimately, being kind will win out for you in the long run. At one time, I was on the road to potentially becoming someone that I would not be proud to be near today. I had a couple things happen that kind of put things in perspective for me. Kind of realized it's better to just go and first question I ask myself is, does this hurt anybody? If no, then it's not worth to get mad out. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, it can cost a little bit to be kind. But honestly, like, being able to look at yourself in the mirror the next day kind of matters a lot more. If nothing else, enlightened self-interest means that you're going to be kind. Can't go through life being mad all the time. And if you're just a ball bag to everybody you meet, then you're not going to have anybody around when you need help. Someday you will need. I was lucky enough that I had a couple of things happen early on, teenage years, put some things in perspective for me. The whole of 20 plus years ago that was. All that kind of went down. And kind of made me realize it costs a lot less to be kind than it does to be a dick. Yeah. Exactly. Now I pretty much have the philosophy of live and let live. Right up until that somebody is going out of their way to actively hurt someone else. And at that point, you have a duty to help that other person. I truly believe if everyone actually believed that and followed that, it wouldn't be so messed up. The other thing I learned really early on was the guy that is lower than you in social standing is never the problem. And between that and be kind, it costs almost never cost you anything to be kind. In the long run, really kind of helped me get through life. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, I did. I goobered it. That's alright. We can fix the goober. It's not that bad. Y'all probably never see it. Yeah, like his Twitch only streams in 1080, y'all won't see it. There we go. All right, let's go put the brighter yellow on this guy. I think he's ready. So let's try to do some highlights. Oh, I guess it is pulling out a little bit more. Maybe the whatever was wrong in that setting, it wasn't I'm not entirely sure. I think part of it is the blue is also really easy to shade. Because the human eye picks up the color blue really well. And I think part of that also comes back to camera lenses. And whatever software is in this thing probably biases itself more on the blue spectrum than it does the yellow or the yeah. We're going to put our brighter yellows in this puppy. I can see the differences in the yellows. At some point, I just need to sit down, sack up, and figure out exactly why the yellow on this thing is so off. Hubert, that's okay. Yeah, because like right there even, like there's like 2 different shades of yellow and it barely looks any different. Yeah. Everyone's eyes, they drift into different spectrums. And I'm pretty sure that the camera programming does the same thing. Like, I'm kind of a casual expert when it comes to like computer monitors and stuff, and I've noticed that no 2 monitors play their colors the same way. There's times you can even buy identical monitors and they won't look the same, even when their settings are the same. And I think part of that is just the way that the pixels, like the actual physical pixels in the monitor are displayed, arrayed. Like just variations make a big difference. There's 2 different shades of yellow on that. And now there are, and like right here there should be a brighter yellow. Yeah. Like case in point, like just going from that to that. Now part of that is this is also a more yellow light. But let's see what happens. So we're gonna go. This is supposedly my pure daylight setting right now. Okay, so the yellow is turning out a little better here. And part of it too is like my mini studio lighting. You can call it that. Can y'all just leave that poor thing alone for a few hours? Seriously. That's why she's in here. In here, she's under there to get away from everybody, and they're all pestering at her. All right, so yeah, a lot of it has to do with like your lighting setup too. Like I can change the temperature color range of this particular light, and it does make a bit of a difference. Because now you can kind of see it. Yeah. A lot of that too, like photogenic versus non-photogenic people. A lot of that comes down to the shape of the actual lens. Because even like cameras, like certain cameras can change how somebody looks a lot. I look about the same either way most of the time. Except unless it's like on the selfie cam, which those things are ruinously horrible anyway. Selfie cams are not... they don't have a wide enough lens to actually capture face angles right. It distorts the fuck out of people. Also depends a lot on who's pulling the trigger on the actual photo. This Viking is almost done. Like, I'm almost ready to call it done. Turning up really well. We'll work on him a little bit more. So I got. Also, too, like the pigments in your skin, like I said, like the way cameras all vary on how they pick things up in lighting. People's skin pigments will also throw off a camera. Like, honestly, like 90% of the reason that most people in Hollywood look as great as they do isn't just the makeup artists, but the actual cinematographers, the camera crews. They are absolutely phenomenal at their job. Like, makeup goes a long way, don't get me wrong, but makeup can only fix so much, even in the hands of like someone that's really skilled. I say that, but you know, sci-fi has in general really great makeup artists that can literally make you look like an alien, but it is. It's a lot of fun. These little guys are, and they come assembled. Like when I showed off that box earlier, they come that way out of the box. Like you just got to prime them. And I like to use white as my primer because I like really bold, bright colors in general. I'm a bolder ranged color kind of guy. So I like bright primers. But yeah, these things are so fun to paint. Like, this guy has been a joy all the way through, and I am just so glad that I've gotten to do this. That? Yeah. Yeah. Not too shabby. So we're gonna do the missile tubes at some point. I just gotta figure out exactly what I want to do with them. Kind of go through and with our white while we've still got it hot and wet. Just kind of eyeball, take it around. Light as necessary. Going for a V shape there and botched it. So if we can't. You botched it again, but we can fix it. I actually bought 2 more lances of mech today. I bought 2 mech packs. I bought the Comstar command pack and the Comstar level 2 pack. And I don't know if they're going to stay Comstar mechs for very long, because a couple of them are mechs that are in my buying guide. The other thing I would recommend is kind of make yourself a guide for what you want. It is. They are a great excuse. You hang out with 1 or 2 people that you know, and find some poor sucker to sucker into playing this with you, and you get 8 mechs or so, and man, you guys are off to the races. You guys can have a good old time. You don't have to go anywhere. It's not terribly expensive. Eventually you'll want more mechs. Like, obviously, I'm a collectible whore, so it kind of just happened. But to be fair, a lot of it also came back to MechWarrior Online and the fact that I've got like 140 mechs in that game. And I kind of want to just, you know, have a similar variety of things that I can pick from here. And eventually, you do discover that you have favorite mechs. Like, you will find out that, hey, I like this mech a lot. There's a lot of mechs that you're kind of expected to really gravitate to, like the Atlas, or the Warhammer, or the Timberwolf. Those are kind of like the 3 faces of the franchises. You know? And they're great mechs. They are all individually the stuff of legends as far as mechs goes. And they're neat. But you'll discover that you have some favorites that aren't the faces of the franchise, and that's perfectly fine. For me, this Thunderbolt, the Thunderbolt is one of my big-time personal favorites. Card variants by nerds. A lot of us are. I'm not entirely sure why, but it just seems to happen. In my case, like, I started working out when I was like 15, and I used to box. And but part of it is like, you know, when I'm old enough that this stuff was not cool to normal people. This stuff wasn't seen as cool back in the day. So I'm old enough, I'm at that tail end of that. So you had to be a little bit stronger and a little bit tougher, and I also had a sibling with special needs, so naturally she was a target for people to pick on her. So you gotta be able to handle your business. And after that, it just kind of became habit. But as far as everybody else, I'm not entirely sure why it works out that way. A lot of veterans play this stuff too, because you get stuck on base and you got nothing else to do. And so you got you and your barracks buddies, and you're not allowed to leave base for whatever reason, or God forbid you're in the Navy and you're on a boat or in a sub for 6 months out of the year. So then you start looking into stuff you can do. Well, you got 8 people that you're hanging around with all the time. There's Dungeons and Dragons right there. You just got to have space for 3 books and some dice. So you and your buddies start playing D&D, and then, you know, or maybe they start playing some Warhammer, and you're all playing, goofing off down in the mess on downtime. And that's where they get into it from, a lot of them. The bodybuilders, I don't know why. I don't know why we kind of gravitate to this. I think it's the whole mech thing, and it's an excuse to work with our hands that you can. It's affordable enough. Like, I'm also a car guy. Yeah, let's play war while we're at war. Yeah. I think a lot of it too is like our generation, like cars are an expensive fucking hobby. I'm not gonna lie. I sunk way more into my cars than I ever have gaming, probably. And yeah, get burned out on that real easy. Whereas this stuff, like, it's little, it's small, it's easy to store, and it also helps your finger dexterity a lot, because if you're Shakes McGee, if you're doing this all the time, it's going to be hard to paint. And so I think a lot of us, like, disproportionately lift, and then we get into this stuff for, like, the finer motor controls. It helps you. Like, you know, your fingers are in certain positions, and you're doing certain things, and you're looking at stuff. Detail-oriented people also tend to be a little bit more into taking care of themselves. So I think that's a big part of it too. Like, if you're really into, like, detail-oriented stuff, you're probably going to be at least trying to keep yourself in shape. Because you don't want the guy you want to look at in the mirror, you know. You don't want to look like you spend your life eating Cheetos and McDonald's. So you start trying to fix that. I think that's part of where it comes from. But yeah, between the veterans thing, and I just think part of it is just a detail-oriented obsession. And everybody that lifts has some form of dysphoria to some extent. And I think miniatures also kind of give you an avenue to explore and get away from that. Hey, Zale. You're not terribly late. I'm probably going to run over a little bit today. But I think that's a lot of it too. Is like you get to play with miniatures, and you get to make things the way you want them to be. And it's kind of the same thing with your body. Like, you can alter the shape of your body to be what you want it to be. So I think that's where another part of that crossover is. Doing pretty well. Was in a pretty good mood today. I've already taken care of errands and all that fun stuff, and I was off from work, so I was like, well, I'm already bored, so why don't we just do something about it? Yeah. Yeah. And it's super expensive. Like, stupidly expensive. I still haven't repainted my Corvette yet, and I've already sunk probably about $4 grand or so into the car, easy. Not counting the cost of the vehicle itself. My Trans Am I put in, like, easily for about the same, probably about 3.5. And then another 5 for the car, and it doesn't need paint, thank God. But, yeah. You have to obsess when you start with cars. Like, you have to. You have to be obsessive over details, because it's your baby. We're going to keep the same scheme. We're just kind of refining it a little bit, and doing some little changes here and there. And most of our Merc company that I've painted so far has turned out really well today. Really, really proud of these guys. If I can add some shade to that, maybe. Ah, you can see a little bit there. We're doing pretty good. No problem, man. We're not done yet. We're still decking off a little bit here. That is another, my friend's hypothetical mechs. Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm not really a restoring guy. I'm more of a I modify it to my taste kind of guy. Yes. Oh. Hello, stretchy cat. Are you helping? You about to try to help? So this mech, my buddy is from in this Merc company. His character is from a different region of space. So while the Merc company is a state-sponsored mercenary company, essentially, this guy is from a different region. So we're gonna add his one of his area's colors to this map. So we're gonna add a little bit of purple. We're gonna use another Games Workshop paint. In this case, this is Layer Xerxes Purple. This is one of their layer paints. Yeah, like my I kind of knew ahead of time when, and that's the other thing too, is like with cars, is you have to have your plan before you start. Do not start the project and then not have a plan while you're doing it. You will never get it done. My Corvette is a great example of that. My Trans Am, I had a plan and it's done pretty much. The Vet, we've owned the car I've owned this car 10 years now and we're still fiddling with it. Because I keep changing direction on that. This guy, start adding our purple in. I am a big fan of this Xerxes purple. It's almost Merrick purple. Very, very similar color. Big fan, big fan. And then we'll have to shade it eventually. I hope you've been doing well, Zale. Yep, that sounds about right. Yep. That's exactly about it, too. The other temptation with cars is that you should avoid is trying to make it the fastest thing that you could possibly make it. There's always somebody faster than you, and then the more money you sink in, obviously the faster it gets, but it also gets exponentially more expensive to get up there. There's tiers of speed. She'll be back in probably about a minute. Oh, nice! Hey, congrats! Dude, that ain't nothing. Good job. Ah, you won't slip. You got this time. I got faith in you. Monday, I'll yes. Hello. Yes, sweet cat. What do you want? Wow. Yeah, it's easy for you to set a goal and outspend your actual spending ability. It's really easy to mess that up. Cars are no joke. Right, that's not too bad. So far, so good. This Merrick Purple, well, what's becoming Merrick Purple, I should say. No, no, no. My first car was a slow piece of crap. I still managed to wrap it around the tree when I was young. I had an '85 Camaro with the V6. That V6 ain't nothing to write home about. But to be fair to me, I was also sleep deprived and I kind of fell. Kind of had that moment where you jerk yourself awake, you overcorrect, and over the cliff I went. Um, I said I was like 18, 19 at the time, about almost 20 years. Learned a lot from that experience. After that, I pretty much never decided. After that, I was never working Cars Plus again. Yeah, I got extremely lucky. I was extraordinarily lucky what I did. I learned my lesson. Working way too many hours and then trying to do a social life. I learned that very well from that. After that, I quit. I was working two jobs at the time. I quit one of the two jobs. Got everything back. And eventually wound up with my vet, and yay, and happy with both of them. Last couple of years, the vet's been down because I keep changing the plan. I let somebody else work on it one time, and the car was pretty much fundamentally broken after that. Oh, might as well undo all the damage he's done, and then, you know, one thing's led to another, and now I'm in a completely different direction. But it'll be really badass when it's done, and it's at least runnable. It should actually be runnable now. I just got to do some last little bit of wiring. Should be able to take it for a test drive. And if it doesn't work out, or if I just don't like it, then I've got some things. I've got a pair of cylinder heads on there. No, actually, the Bird is currently the daily. Um, Bird is actually doing really well for me on that. I am not changing a damn thing in that car. Now that it's done, it's done. Unless something major breaks. I've been using the Bird because it gets 29 miles to the gallon, and a lot more fuel efficient than my Lincoln is, which is currently parked just too expensive. Super comfy car, just ridiculously expensive to drive it. I am what you guys could carry car for. Rather, very. That is nice. Sounds like it's paused our beautiful music. That on here in just a second. But yeah, the vet, a mouse got into the vet. That was what stopped me this last time, and it ate the wiring going from the fuel pump relay. So right now she doesn't have any fuel. Got the put my race pump back in it, put new relay on it. Got a good battery, all that. It's literally just not getting fuel. A mouse has destroyed the wire, but that I can fix. I can totally fix that. Just got to get a break in the heat, man. It's been unreal down here. Been one of our hottest summers. But yeah, this guy's really nice. That Xerxes purple's. We're gonna put on our music, and our littlest helper is back. But yeah, the Trans Am is my daily right now. Done me really well. Back. Go back. I think it's because they try to use them as building material. They're easy for them to chew into, and they try to take it back to their nest. I think is what's going on. I took care of that problem. But I guess the damage was already done, because after that, the car has just been ever since. Ever since I saw the two mice in there. I'm assuming that's what happened. Got in, they chewed, and then they were sufficiently murdered. Paid for what? And now I have a bunch of cats around the house, because good cats pretty much come by here on now. I feed the kitties, and they take care of the nieces. We'll work on my buddy's Atlas a little bit. Yes. And I've got my little girl over here now. She's also a big help around the house. She's the most useless hunter known to man, but she makes up for it by being horrible. Her friends outside, on the other hand, are murder machines, so we'll go with it. Cats are also, by the way, the only animal to ever domesticate them. Cats saw how good dogs had it and were like, yeah, I want in on that life. I'll go eat animals in the grain silo. Give me pets. Really cool. Love that about cats. I might just get everybody to leave the poor girl alone once in a while. Just turn on the autofocus again. Let's see if that actually does it for us. So there's the stabilizer. Dude, I would love to see a Lynx around here. For a while there, we thought maybe there was one hanging around here not too long ago, or at least a bobcat. And you'd see all kinds of shit turn up dead from that bobcat. That thing was a murder machine if ever there was one. There we go. Stabilizer and the autofocus together. Doing a reasonable job. I forgot to turn them back on. That's why I'm not a professional. Focus, you fuck. Now I'm remembering why we turned it off. There it goes. Okay. Which one was it doing that? The stabilizer or the gyro? Or the focuser? Guess we'll find out very shortly. It's doing its thing. A lot better. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing we have a lot of, or did at one time, I don't know if we still do, I've not seen one in a long time, are coyotes. We had a rash of them and feral dogs both around here not too long ago. And I actually hit one with the race car. There were that many of them. It came running out on me. I've seen them in a long time. I'm guessing that they've been taken care of, but we had a lot of them. Like, enough that people were warning not to let your kids out unsupervised. Honestly, like, the coyotes aren't the worst thing ever. Like, feral dogs are honestly worse than coyotes. The worst part about coyotes is they will attack anything that they think they can eat. But they're pretty easy to spot. Like, if you're like not a child, you know. You can kind of know that, hey, that's not a normal looking dog, and you just kind of stay the fuck away from it. Feral dogs are actually worse, in my opinion. A feral dog looks enough like a dog that a kid or some people aren't going to know. Boars are scary. Boars are literally scary. They are absolutely terrible. Boars slash wild hogs, which are the same thing. And the scarier part about that is all pigs can go feral. In less than 2 weeks, if a pig is out in the wild, it will actually revert to being a feral slash boar. It will actually revert 2 weeks. Every pig. And they breed so quickly that they're damn near impossible to control as a population. They're not quite at full problem yet where we live, but they're already kind of getting to that point where they're starting to see the warnings coming out on the news every year or two about them. Cool. Seriously. Yes. Yeah. They are absolutely delicious. They are absolutely delicious. It's a much stronger taste than a normal pig. It's a great taste. Now it's got to refocus itself down. I keep moving this thing too much. Alright, so we kind of have the basic of the paint job in. Come on, you know you want to. Focus, you fuck. That's why we don't use the autofocus anymore. So the later versions of this camera's autofocus is much better. But I don't have the new version. Yeah, we have bears a little bit up the road from me. I've got to drive about 30 minutes to get into bear country. Or what is at least seen as bear country. But yeah, once you get that 30 minutes out, you're in bear country. Outright. You just got to go due north. We used to have a lot of meth heads. That used to be the most dangerous thing we had around here, were the meth heads, and that's pretty much tapered off now. At least where I live. You get that part of your nail that was trimmed really badly, and it just kind of stays on with the rest of your nail. Brown bears are scary. We only have black bears here. Thank God. We do have mountain lions. Well, they're supposedly extinct through here, but enough people claim to see them over the years and hear them that I don't fully believe they're extinct in our area. But that's like, again, 30 minutes due north from where I'm at. I'm close enough to the real wilderness that for me to go see really cool. There's our long-running joke too. I'm glad you're in on that already. What? Yes. Speaking of little mountain lions, are you coming up to help? Up? You want up? You want up? Come on. Don't say hi. Don't say hi. Alright. Our little mountain lion decided she doesn't want to say hi after all. Yes, I'm talking about you again. Aren't you just so brave today? You gotta bother the cat. That is Sweet. That's her name. Because she is just absolutely adorable 24/7. Alright, so, our Atlas. I might have some plans. If I fuck him up, I'll buy another one. Let's see. Let's see if we can't add some battle damage to this bad boy, shall we? You are a small cat. Yes. We love you. Good girl. Yes, it is. Make it look like it's seen some shit. Gotta add them burn marks, you know? Good chat. Make the mech look more authentic. Are you getting hungry, little girl? Is that what you're telling me? Also, like half the fun's just watching the cat react when you pet her. I think he knows it's dinner time. We're getting near it. We'll wrap this up. What? You having fun, sweets? Good girl? Ooh. Kind of giving it that battle damage. You little girl, don't worry. I haven't forgotten you. Good girl. Alright. My chair. Oh, dude, that's the chair. You know that. No better. Alright, so we're going to get some of this in. Some of this. There. The thing about this black is it does dry fast. Yeah. It really is. The other cats that kind of live around the neighborhood, those on the other hand, I can tell they're hunters. We have one that I affectionately called the Grouch, and he will let you pet her, and she does come up, but it takes like a minute for her to kind of adjust to you being there. Like, she is super affectionate, but it takes her, like, you gotta be there for like minutes, and then she'll let you pet her. You can't just, you know, do the whole here kitty kitty thing. You have to like sit there and wait. Great cat though, just grouchy. Even has the angry cat face. You know, the grumpy cat face. It even has that. Hilarious. So far, you. Are you back? Have you resolved to come back? Good. Yeah. The good thing about that, though, is you do get used to it a little bit. Like, your own cat doesn't bother you. My sister is allergic, and she's not bothered by ours anymore. Isn't battle damage, but I'm just making sure its muscle structure, just give it a little bit more contrast. Big change. I wonder what my new shirt's gonna get here. So they had some flooding in eastern Kentucky, really bad flooding actually, and they don't live in a floodplain, Appalachia, just like here. And there was a relief fund that that Old Gods of Appalachia podcast I mentioned did, where you buy a shirt and donate all the profits, and the shirt company was also matching to flood relief fund. I got a really kick-ass shirt coming. I'm looking forward to showing it off a little bit. Oh yes, this guy just. I think it might be. Let me double check that, and then I'll, if it is, I'll drop the link for you. Hope we're not about to have a brownout. Fuck. I think the shirt company itself, I don't think is doing the charity part. They're not matching it anymore, but I think they might be still. And give me just a second. Yeah, it was terrible. There's the shirts that were being all the profits were going to it. I picked up the old Sam there. Great podcast. I've actually got their RPG on pre-order that they got coming out, and great cause both. So I was like, I am totally on board doing that. I didn't have any objection to it. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Eastern Kentucky really got hammered by just some absolutely unreal rain. Like here on the East Coast in general, or rather anything east of the Mississippi, uh, it's been pretty fucking rainy. They got the worst of it, just by about a long while, by a good ways compared to everybody else. I hope that the official count for the bodies wasn't too far off, because it was phenomenally bad flooding. I don't remember really seeing flooding that bad without a hurricane being involved since I was a kid here in the States. Like, it was that bad. Like, it was comparable to Mississippi River flooding, levels of flooding. It was not. Fortunately, my state really didn't get that bad of it out where I live, but a lot of other people weren't so lucky. For us, the summer has just been ridiculously hot. Something smells absolutely heavenly. It's making something good. See why you're upset with it. We'll go get yours in a minute, I promise. I'm almost there, okay? Once all that dries, it'll fade a little bit, and it'll just be kind of scorchy. Case in point, that Atlas we're working on. Hey, I call it there. Had a pretty good little session going today. We'll get all of our guys out here together, the ones that we major did. Yeah, our climate is really wide in its range. Those are the guys we pretty much worked on today, and I think we made some pretty good headway today. We even got a little bit of work done on the guys in the back here. The Stalker turned out really well, I think. We'll add his battle damage next time we do this. All goes. Yeah, I couldn't imagine anything that cold. For us, like, our summers are... It was actually really cool out there today. I knew it didn't feel too bad, like, just because it's been raining all day. Like, usually we have, like, about 35°C with just about 80 to 90% humidity. That's usually our summers. Like, it's like walking into hot soup and trying to breathe hot soup on a good day. Yeah. It's actually cool outside today. It's only 81°F. But yeah, it's been ungodly hot. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and call our stream here for the day, and I'm not sure when we're gonna pick up our next painting stream, because you know these things tend to be a little erratic. Sunday, I don't think we're doing anything, so we might be doing some stuff Sunday because I got some more mechs coming, and I want to do some more experiments. So I will see you all.